Sam, I need your analysis. I need your opinions on this because I got so many things I wanted to ask you specifically. Number one question, we've been talking a lot about it here, Derek Carr. Where would you like to see Derek Carr end up?
I think Derek Carr in New Orleans makes a ton of sense. They were the team that was interested when it was going to cost something, when they were going to have to trade for Derek Carr. So with him on the open market, I think that's a great fit for them. I think it immediately makes the New Orleans Saints the favorite for that division. And for Derek Carr, it's a team that gives him an obvious pathway to do something, to make the playoffs, to make some noise, to look like the starting quarterback of a playoff-bound team, and gets him into the NFC, where the landscape isn't quite as treacherous as it is in the AFC, with all these incredible young quarterbacks that were in the playoffs this past season.
I mean, is that a thing for a quarterback like Derek Carr? Because listen, that division with the Saints and the Bucs and the Panthers, and we could go on, is terrible. Like, would that actually affect Derek Carr's decision to go, well, everybody else is terrible on that little side of the world, so I'm going to go over there and be a little less terrible?
Yeah, it's tough to know how much that's going to factor into his decision, but you've got to think that an agent or, his representative, somebody that's looking out on behalf of Derek Carr, is at least aware of that and maybe steering him in that direction. And maybe Derek Carr is the kind of guy that wants to compete and wants to go against the best quarterbacks and wants to be in a division with Patrick Mahomes and face him twice a year. But in terms of him looking as good as he can be, the people that are around him have to be aware that that's an easier thing to do, I think, in New Orleans than it is in some of these other places he could end up.
I'm not trying to go Derek Carr palooza here, but one final question about the guy. As he's with the Jets and he's doing a little tour and he's in no hurry to actually sign with the team. I mean, is it hilarious to you? Because you did bring up the Saints. It's hilarious to me that he said, yeah, I don't want to be traded to the Saints. And so the Raiders, you can get nothing for me. And then if he still goes to the Saints, like that's him just kind of sticking it back to them. That's kind of funny to me. Is it funny to you?
Oh, yeah. The Raiders sort of did him a little bit dirty, right? They shut him down. They basically said, you're done in Las Vegas. We're moving on from you. And so since then, he's saying, well, okay, if you're going to treat me like that, I'm going to treat you the same way. And I'm going to make sure you don't get anything from me. And if I can, I'm going to rub it in your faces.
I don't know if you heard the breaking news yesterday, but we think Aaron Rodgers goes to the Titans because he's building a house in Nashville. And I talked to one of the guys that was actually working, like an assistant under one of the guys working there, and said Aaron plans to live there all year long. Breaking news if you haven't heard that yet, Sam. But where do you think Aaron Rodgers ends up, even though you know that I talked to an assistant worker on the property of Aaron Rodgers' new house? Go ahead.
I think Tennessee makes some sense. We've heard talk here all week at the Combine that the Titans are going to be moving on from Ryan Tannehill. You could see how they would be all for jumping into the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. They still have some work to do if they do that. Get him an offensive line. That group fell apart last season, was ranked 32nd in the NFL at PFF. So it's a starting point. It's not going to make them immediately Super Bowl contenders, but I like it. The team that I would love to see Rodgers go to is the Jets, though. I think that's a team that can contend immediately with Rodgers stepping onto that roster. They have weapons. They've got an elite defense. They've got an offensive line that should be significantly better than last year. Even if they don't do anything to it, just from the guys getting back healthy, Rodgers would make the Jets an immediate contender, albeit, in a tough division where you have to get by Buffalo, Miami, New England, and the AFC. I think the Jets is a team ready to compete if they got a quarterback as good as he is.
We talk about Aaron Rodgers, and I guess it's a foregone conclusion in a lot of our minds, myself included, where it's where's Rodgers going to go? He's going to stay with the Packers. He's going to go to the Raiders or the Titans or the Jets. But, Sam, in reality, what do you think the odds are that Rodgers just goes, I'm done?
I mean, it's always possible with a guy like Rodgers. We're talking about an unusual human being, somebody that goes and locks themselves in a dark box for 2 days to meditate on what he's going to do about this. Somebody that goes on ayahuasca retreats. Rodgers is not the normal NFL quarterback. He's an unusual person, a unique thinker, and it's always possible that guy might just decide, you know what, hosting Jeopardy sounds pretty good to me right now. I'm going to go. I don't need to get hit every week of the year for the NFL season. I got better things to do with my time. You're right. That's absolutely always a live possibility with a guy like Rodgers.
It would be disappointing in the story arc if he just quits.
Sure.
And
yeah, 100%.
Then he would live in Tennessee. I would be right. He just wouldn't be playing for the Titans. So
catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.